The DALSTON Odeon was another from Andrew Mather's organisation, and these photographs date from a 1960s refurbishment. A very attractive building turned into a triple cinema in the 1970s, it was reputedly closed because of unruly audiences from its working-class catchment area. Certainly, it was the only theatre where the bandit screens over the confectionery kiosk had to be left in place, even when the cinema was open, because of pilferage. There was a monolithic exterior to the Blackpool Odeon, which was the largest of all, seating over 3,000 people. It opened in May 1939 without an organ, but a Compton was on its way to be installed sometime later. It was destroyed in transit by German bombing. Now tripled, this Odeon has fallen under threat of conversion to bingo in the early 1980s. On a quiet corner near Beckenham, the large Odeon at Elmers End seemed a throwback to the Odeons Oscar Deutsch was building in remote spots in the early days of the circuit, but it was attractively designed by Keith P. Roberts. Closed in 1957, it had not been a commercial success. It was only open for 18 years. Hendon, a rare incursion into the London area, was made by Harry Weedon to design the Odeon, and rather surprisingly, its exterior was entirely and somewhat somberly in brick. In 1974, this was one of the least altered of Odeons, and its interior was a delight. A foyer with its original light fittings, a sunny circle lounge, and an auditorium which still has its pendant light fittings and concealed illumination in the recesses in the side walls with their curious black slanting columns. This was the last Odeon to open before the outbreak of war. Hostilities were so likely that Oscar Deutsch originally wanted to cancel or postpone the opening, but it took place on August the 28th, 1939. Normally, opening nights were packed to capacity, but the worsening international situation meant that only 200 people turned up, and not all of them lingered for the elaborate buffet set up in the circle foyer after the show. Other Odeons under construction had to be left uncompleted, and some of the existing theatres were closed, at least temporarily, by war damage. Here is the Bradford Odeon, a huge 2,713-seater opened in December 1938, seen here in 1940, when it had, ironically, been showing The Grapes of Wrath. The only purpose-built Odeon to be knocked out for good was at Canning Town, opened in May 1939 and closed less than 2 years later after bombs made it structurally unsafe. It was another Mather Odeon designed by Keith P. Roberts.